Hello YouTube, this is Ian from the Portsmouth Armory channel, and today we're going to be trying out my Trapdoor with some full throttle loads. So stay tuned and let's see how she does.
The voices that I hear aren't just in my mind. They've come to take my spirit to another place in time, to wander through the pages of a time long past and gone, to bring to me a calmness through the lyrics of a song, to take my restless spirit back where it belongs, to a place where words like honor and integrity belong, to a place where men like me can be just that without a fear. For simply being good enough was all we had to hear. And where are we to go, my friend, and what are we to be? You want a shining armor knight, yet turn and condemn me for being simply what I am, with yearnings to be free from all the social pressures that won't set my spirit free.
Alright, I know what you guys are thinking. Not another Trapdoor video, but bear with me. I think we're going to be doing some things that are very interesting here. We're going to take, you've seen me shoot the light loads, and they shoot great up to 50 and 100 yards. And they even shoot pretty good at over 300, if you believe it or not. I've knocked down some pigs with it at the silhouette line. But I'm wanting something with a little more oomph, oomph and with accuracy. And so we're going to try it out. Now you're seeing this as I am doing it. Usually when I bring in a video, I've tested these loads, and then I'll record them. But this is all new, so we're going to learn all this together. There's other things out there on what other people are doing, but I figured let's do this in real time. You're going to learn it as I am. Let's take a closer look at the Trapdoor we're going to shoot, and then we will go from there. Here we can see the cartouche stamped 1892, which indicates the year it was left the armory. And you can also see the very strong stamping still on the breech block with little remnants of color case hardening. And here is the viewed and proof stamp along with the eagle. This is the 84-88 model, so therefore it has the Buffington rear sight, and because of the work I've done on the front sight, my Buffington sight is set at 225 yards, that is the peep is, and that puts me pretty close to being dead center at 100 yards. Here you can see the replacement front sight I put on it. It's tall, so I can't really slide that shroud up over the barrel, so to get a good sight picture I just take that front sight protector off. And you can see the tight sight stood up. Here is the rest of the rifle. It's in pretty good shape. The bore is mirror, so this is a very good test subject. Alright, today we're going to be shooting 4 different loads. 60, 65, 70, and 75 grain loads. Now, the distance of these targets are going to be 100 yards. We're going to take 10 shots apiece off of a bench. Now, if you're familiar with Wolf Spence and some of the work he's done with the Trapdoors, I am not loading. There are no loads similar to what he's doing. All of these loads are not crimped. They have wads in them. The primer pockets have not been drilled out, and we're using just regular Federal primers. We're using plain Go X2F, although later I would like to bump it up to old E and see what that does. So follow me out to the range and let's see what happens. Now, as I said before, these targets are being shot at 100 yards. The targets we're shooting at are an 8-inch bull, the black is. They are official NSSA 100-yard musket targets. Now you're seeing me realize that I brought the wrong blow tube, and I'm going to have to fabricate one of my own. This one I got from Buffalo Arms and is great, but there's just not enough room in that action to get one in there, so I'm just turning it around and using it that way. I'll just cut the rim off of another 4570 case and stick a tube in there and use that for one after this. Now I don't think you guys want to watch me loading and firing 10 rounds, so let's go ahead and speed this up. Now the rate of twist on these things is 1 in 22 inches, so it's an ideal twist. It's kind of like a general purpose twist, I guess you could say. You know, when they first started making these 4570s, the 405 grain bullet was the one they used in it, you know, the hollow base. But in 1881, some of you may or may not know, they started making 500 grain flat base bullets for these, because they found out that they worked a little better over longer ranges, and that is the bullet that calibrates with these Buffington sights. Now, you hear a lot of people say they like the Lyman bullet, a 4.59124, I think it is. Even Lyman claims that it's the original government bullet, but unless they've changed something to it over the past few years, it's not. I got that bullet when I first got my first Trapdoor, and started loading it and shooting it, and then started doing some research and realized that bullet's a little different. If I remember correctly, it had one extra grease groove, and it had actually had a crimp ring on it, which you know, the original bullet doesn't. The bullet I like for this one, that I shoot the most out of this one exclusively, I should say, is the Seiko 881 bullet. It's almost a dead ringer for the original 500 grain government bullet. So if you guys haven't tried that, I'd suggest you do. And of course, the Lee 405 hollow base bullet is also a good choice for trapdoors, whether Buffington sight or otherwise. Now this 60 grain target was not counting the flyer now, this is 2 1/4 inches tall, and it was 4 1/2 inches wide. So this is our first target. Let's try the 65 grain and see what happens. So these loads, like I said, are just Go X2F. I used a compression die, and when I expanded the cases, the body of the case I expanded was 460, and I expanded the mouth up to 464, and I left it that way. And that way I could just thumb seat the bullets. The bullets are sized to 460. They're cast from 20-to-1 alloy, 20 pounds of soft lead, and 1 pound of tin is what these are. Here in the bottom, you can see my method of blow tubing. Today I was using 3 long breaths into my nose, out through my mouth. Although it's very humid, there's a lot of fog in the air, so I probably could use less, but I just went with that. That's normally what I do in using a blow tube. Here's the 65 grain target, and I'm not counting that little guy in the white, the little flyer we'll call that. We are a 4 inches wide and 3 inches tall. Now there's also another, you might want to call him a flyer too, in the 9 ring on the 9 o'clock. If we took him out, we would cut that in half. That would be more like a 2 by 3 inch group. So call it what you want, but this is what we're working with right now. Now, according to Wolf Spence, when they first started producing these guns, they wanted you to be able to fire 20 rounds without cleaning the gun and without noticing any loss in accuracy. But I'm going to clean after every 10-shot string here. You can see me spraying my patch with Ballistol and water. And whenever you send these patches down the bore, you need to use a good rod, and as you can see here, I'm using a bore guide. This is very important when you want to preserve the crown. That's about the most important part of the barrel. That's the last part of it that touches your base of your bullet, so that needs to stay perfect. You can see my group starting to favor the left there. I tried to drift the sights just a little bit to the left, and it looks like I went too far, but then for some reason they come back over to center. So I don't know if it's me or if it's the load. We're going to do some more testing, but for now we're just going to take it for what it is. I also wanted to mention too, I did load these with a drop tube. So normally when you drop 70 grains from your powder dispenser into a case, it comes up pretty close to the top, but with 70 grains I had quite a bit of room. It wasn't as much compression as you'd think. The Wolf Spence way of doing it, that's quite a bit of compression, but I didn't have to compress it a whole lot, and I was able to fit, as you can see from the next round of targets we'll do. With that drop tube, I was able to fit 75, and I could have fit more in there if I wanted to. My paper patch loads for my C sharps are 84 grains of Go X Old E2F. So just give you an idea of how much more powder you can get into a case when using a drop tube. Now, as you can see, this 70 grain load, for which the 4570 got its name, has been the worst of the lot so far. I didn't even measure it, but it looks to be about around 10 inches. Is the 70 grain load the least accurate? Let's see what happens when we bump it up to 75. You can see me looking at some of these cases, and that's because some of these loads weren't quite sealing good enough. I was getting a little bit of blowback on the cases. These 75 grain cases are the cleanest ones I've gotten so far. I'm using Winchester brass, which is peculiar because it's awfully thin. I wouldn't think I'd have to anneal it, but I guess I'm going to. Now, another thing is, this is virgin brass, so on the next time out this will all be fire formed brass, so that should help. I'm used to shooting my C sharps off the bench. It has a pistol grip, it has a very high cheek, or I should say comb, and it's a lot more comfortable to shoot, and it's also a lot heavier than this Trapdoor is. It absorbs a lot of the recoil, and it also has one of the steel shotgun butt plates, which helps disperse more of that recoil too. Now this was peculiar. This is actually a pretty good group. If you take out what I'm calling 3 flyers there at the top, the vertical spread on this group is 1 inch, while the vertical spread on this is 2 1/4, while the horizontal would be 1 inch. Now if you were to take the flyers and all, you're looking around 4 to 5 inches. So like I said, all this is going to warrant more testing. But we're off to a good start, I think. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. That was a really interesting test. I'm going to revisit some of those loads, but I'm also going to try some old E loads with some match grade primers, get something closer to what I'm shooting in my high wall. So again, thanks for watching, and keep on the lookout for what's coming next.